Welcome everybody to Startup Central Victoria's special event this morning with a special guest, Jane, which we'll hear more about. Caleb's going to share the limelight this morning, but I'd like to acknowledge that we are meeting on Jara country, and it is Reconciliation Week. And last night I was out in country at the Harcourt Recreation Reserve kicking a possum skin football around. It's a game of Marngrook, if you've never heard of it. And it's about everyone coming together with the mob and just running and kicking and sharing the experience. And it was just lovely and a very crisp night. We're not talking about the weather, Jane. No. So today we are going to kick around some ideas with our mob. It's all about entrepreneurs, aspiring ideas, the people that support the entrepreneurs, and understanding how we can support those people. And Jane is going to share some of that with her startup journey. Now, we know Jane is smart. She is a qualified meteorologist, but she is also a problem solver and an entrepreneur, and that's what we're going to hear about today. That's exactly who we want to support. So Jane is here to inspire us with her startup journey. Caleb Maxwell, who is very well known in the Bendigo region, he's the owner of Hebron Films. He is the host of, I'll get this right, Remarkable Regional Business podcast. So he's very adept at interviewing. You know, he's really going to dig deep, Jane. And he's also one of our expert masterclass presenters. And we'll tell you a little bit more about the free Accelerator Program that is starting off later in June. And we want everyone who has an idea to know that we can support you through that journey and test it out. So we'll talk a bit more about that at the end. But in the meantime, we're going to hand over to Caleb and Jane to have a chat, but at the end there will be questions, and that includes our online audience. So please type in your questions. Hello to everyone out there. All right, handing over. Thank you.
Thanks, Kerry. It is just an honour to be hanging out here with a group of legends in the room and online, and with yourself, Jane. Thanks so much for coming up to Bendigo. You were given a brief introduction there, but for any of you that don't know, Jane's locked into a 4 p.m. and a 6 p.m. live schedule for presenting the weather on Channel 7. But you get up to so much more than just that.
I do indeed. I do indeed. And one of those things is constantly checking the weather, because I'm sure by the end of this hour you will realise that I live, breathe and do everything weather-wise. So it was -1 here in Bendigo this morning, just in case you were wondering. It's the third -1 in a row, but from here on it should not be quite as chilly.
You are described as an enthusiastic weather presenter. You have an infectious enthusiasm for the weather, which is probably no doubt one of the reasons that you've been such a hit on the role that you play on Channel 7. But we're here wanting to know about your startup journey. Now, I want to start at the start. So Jane, tell me where did this idea kick off from, and what was the inception, and what is Jane's Weather?
Shall I take you down the long version of the story or the short version of the story?
Give me the 75% story.
The 75%. Okay. All right, let's go back to when I was at high school, and I was in year 12, and it was time to choose your university course, and I actually had no idea what I wanted to do. As a kid, I had realised that particularly around Christmas time, the movies that you'd be watching, and you'd see families and they'd be huddled around a fire and it'd be snowing outside and they'd be having this big turkey, and I'd be like, oh, we're having seafood and it's hot and sunny and I want to sit in front of the air conditioning, I want to go swimming. And it was just this really different vibe than what was happening there. And that was when I first started thinking about why the weather can be different for different parts of the world. And so that sort of thing sort of stuck with me. But by the time I got to the end of year 12, I really had no idea what I wanted to do. I was drama captain That might not surprise you with what I ended up doing, but history, I love history. I had done this, now I'm going to let you know, I'm a little bit on the older side. This was back in 1997 when I was doing year 12. Anyway, I'll leave you to do the math yourself. I did this thing called IT, Information Technology. It was a fairly new subject, and it was really exciting because you drew these boxes and then you clicked the box and it took you to another box, and that was cool. And I thought, this is maybe what I want to do. Sounds like this is an industry that's going to be amazing. And so I went, right. I applied for a Bachelor of, what was it? Software Engineering at RMIT. I had been to an all-girls school, and here I arrived on the first day of class, fashionably late as I usually do. Anyway, and stumbled through a door into the classroom where there was 200 students, and quickly realised there were 4 females in this thing, and I panicked and quickly found a seat next to someone who looked like me, i.e. a female, and strangely enough worked out that IT wasn't really for me. However, I was very, very glad I did that first year because it kind of gave me a basis in what everything I now get my team to do. Anyway, my mum was so happy. I dropped out of university. I went and did jobs as a secretary and receptionist and tried to work out what I was going to do. However, I went skiing for the first time. And that was the thing that it was this hidden passion that I didn't know existed. And it was, why is it snowing? Why is it not snowing? When's the next snow going to happen? Why is it raining now? Why is this happening? And that kind of expanded out to all things that were weather related. And I found that at these crappy jobs that I was doing, I would procrastinate by looking at the weather. It was, it was the early 2000s, and the internet was just coming in, and there was these really dorky online forums that I joined, and oh yes, what about this supercell, and oh this snowstorm, and so. Yeah, that was kind of and I went, what am I doing here? Let's go and do something that I want to do. So I applied to university again as a mature age student, the ripe age of 23, and this time I knew exactly what I wanted. I wanted to forecast the weather. So Bachelor of Science, Monash University, studied atmospheric science and mathematics. To be honest, most of the maths went in one ear and out the other, but the atmospheric science, that certainly stuck. I got to go over to Penn State in Pennsylvania in the US. I got to live in the snow for a little bit. It was really exciting. You have to do a PE class as part of one of your subjects. Okay. I got to do skiing as a university subject. So every Wednesday morning, you just go out to the local hill and there's someone that takes you around. It was great.
Oh, that's amazing.
Anyway, we should bring that sort of thing in here. Anyway,
yes, please.
So got to do that, so overseas, and then came back, and I applied to the Weather Bureau to become a forecaster. Luckily, I was accepted that year, and you do a graduate diploma of meteorology at the head office. I'll let you know a little secret. You had to be there, so these are your tax dollars at work. You had to be there between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. each day. You had to be in the building between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. each day. Now, there was a bar that was downstairs. This is in Docklands, that's Docklands just ringing up. Anyway, so we would spend a little bit of time in the bar because we were still technically on clock. Anyway, but we learned all there was to know about forecasting the weather, and I got posted to Sydney, so packed everything up and moved up there and started working as a forecaster. Now you do 12-hour shifts, so it's either 7 till 7, either during the day or overnight. And all right, here's another one of your tax dollars at work here. There was a guy that came in and his job was an observer. I believe they don't actually have them anymore because it's there's not much to do. Anyway, so every 3 hours, this guy had to go and look outside, make some notes and print a chart. And so there was one guy, he'd come in close, he would change into his pajamas, so this is for the night shift. There's generally just 4 of us in the office. And he would roll out his sleeping bag under his desk, he would bring in a sheet to put across the side, not to let the light in, and then he would crawl in and have a little bit of a nap. Okay. Again, tax dollars away. However, the phone would very occasionally ring, and this night it does. And we're like, oh, is is he going to get it? So his other job was to answer the phone. And we're like, is he going to get it? And sure enough, the arm has come out and he's picked up the phone, he's gone, hello, Weather Bureau. So he was still monitoring.
A committed observer.
Very committed.
Wow.
So as part of that, you can imagine when you listen to the Country Hour on the ABC, it's getting less and less these days, but back when I was there when I was young, generally most of the people that worked at the Weather Bureau were, well, an older gentleman that like a bit of a tweed jacket with patches on the...
Yes,
there's a fair bit of that sort of vibe going on. They'd all make tea in the middle of the night and no one drank coffee randomly, even though we were up for 12 hours overnight, but yeah, tea. And media requests would come in and none of these guys really wanted to talk about the weather, whereas I was like, hey, yeah, I'll do that. The first live TV I did was the end of a night shift, and I was just wearing jeans and a t-shirt, and I went on air. It was 10's early morning news, I think, and okay. So first of all, I said, and in good news for Gippsland, there's some rain on the way. Next morning I woke up, houses floating down rivers. Oh, no. Learnt to manage my words.
Not assume that it was good news for Gippsland.
That sort of thing. But the other bit was jeans and a t-shirt. It was a bright yellow t-shirt. No, it's a bright blue t-shirt, and it had a picture of a Tweety bird on it, and it said, "A little birdie told me." Here I am talking about the weather, and I've got this little birdie told me, the official person from the Bureau. Anyway, my mum immediately rang, said, get a shirt to keep it in the office.
So they didn't have a wardrobe department that filtered you through
not at this stage, or hair and makeup. Getting back to the story, this is a long answer, isn't it?
I'm enjoying the ride.
Great. So essentially, I grew frustrated. I grew very, very frustrated because at the Weather Bureau, you need to use very specific terminology, which unfortunately the vast majority of the population can't understand because it's not explained what it actually means. Can I get a show of hands here? When you hear the word fine, what do you think it means? Does it mean sunshine? Yes. Or does it mean no wet weather? It actually means no wet weather. So fine, i.e. dry, and mostly sunny, i.e. dry conditions, and lots of sunshine, like a nice day in Sydney, that was a little bit too lengthy for the media to read out, is what I worked out. And so they would shorten fine and mostly sunny to mostly fine. They've put some wet weather in the forecast, and this blew my mind, and I was so frustrated. And I would be ringing up radio stations, like, please, can you just say mostly sunny? just if you've only got 2 words to work with, just use these. Don't put some wet weather in there. Anyway, so that's when my early frustration with making sure the right message is getting through. Now that just seems a very minor issue, but it has bigger consequences, particularly when you need to actually make decisions based on something that's a bit more serious than, am I wearing a skirt or whatever today? So I eventually went, okay, I'm frustrated with this. The Bureau takes a very long time to process all of the data and get the forecast out there, so much so that by the time they issue their afternoon forecast, there's new guidance available, so it's already out of date by the time it actually hits the big wide world. And so I went, there's got to be a better way. So I want to make sure the right message is getting through. And there's a little bit of me that went, oh, drama captain, let's bring a bit of that back in. TV sounds good. Hair, makeup, wardrobe, that sounds great. But I still get to be a scientist and craft the right message and put it through. So I went to the Weather Channel, and then I was at Win News across regional Victoria, where I presume most of you would have heard of me then. And now I've been at 7 News Melbourne this will be my 10th year, so it has been quite a time. Wow. Now, as part of that, I feel like, actually, let me tell you about how I got into Win News. So when I was at the Weather Channel, they wanted me to be meteorologist and friendly expert. So they didn't actually let me stand in front of the maps and explain what was happening. I just got to, kind of like we're doing here, but with much shorter answers. I got to, be the friendly expert, not the person that walks you through what's actually going to happen. So I went, I really want to do that part as well. I want to change how people are presenting the weather so it's more meaningful and you can actually do something with it. So I rang up the Chief of Staff at Win News and Jeff Sly, you may have heard of him at the time, and I said, hi, I'm a meteorologist and I want to be a weather presenter. It turned out he had on his desk in front of him the results of a survey of all the viewers, and the overwhelming response back was more credibility with the weather. Here I was, I'm a meteorologist, I want to be a weather presenter. I came in, I did a screen test and I randomly got the job. So I feel like I changed things a little bit by showing you why things are happening so that you can understand it better. That's what I'm hoping I'm doing, getting the right message through so that you can make decisions. As part of that, I would go out and do lots of chats with ag groups. So randomly seem to be the banking people that have the money to be able to put on an event and invite someone, and I would talk about the weather. So we'd pack people in and I'd show you how to understand it, what was coming, what was most likely, these sort of things. And in the Q&A, every single time I would get asked the question, what weather app do I recommend? And I would go, well, no, I can't actually recommend anything because there's nothing out there that's going to do what you need. So there's nothing out there that is good guidance, as in the best weather guidance, so essentially as a meteorologist you look at all the different sources and work out what's most likely to happen, not just, you don't want one piece of the puzzle, you want them all in there. And then it's about taking that guidance and putting it into something that you can make decisions off the back of. And so
how many times did you answer or think the answer to the question was, I don't have anything for you, before you thought, maybe I should make something for you?
There were so many, it was every time I would go and do something and people would ask that. And so I went, maybe this is a really good idea that I should create something. So initially I was frustrated with the media about changing the words and changing the message, and now I was frustrated that there wasn't a good source of guidance out there for people who are making commercial decisions to actually do it. There's so much good weather data out there. Let's use it to our advantage and take advantage of the weather.
I love that. So origin story, that brings us beautifully to Jane's Weather.
Thank you.
Tell us, where is your startup at? You are founder and CEO of Jane's Weather. What does it look like? Is it accessible, and what is your target kind of customer base for this app?
It's about, now anyone can come on and use it and it's going to give you a good forecast, but anyone who is having to make a commercial decision about the weather, that's who we are putting it towards. Now, mainly so far, it is those in agriculture. So we have, let's just talk about a frost risk. Now, you could look at what the temperature is going to be overnight, but if you don't consider what the wind is doing, what the cloud cover is doing, and bring all of that together, you don't know whether a frost is actually possible or you're not quite going to get there. Now, if you are unsure about that, do we light the oil drums? Do we get the fans moving? Do we hire the chopper to come and sit over these crops tonight? Because if these guys get a frost, we're done. This is the last part of it. Do we actually spend that money, make that commitment, use that time and resources to protect our crop? We've now got a better idea of whether we need to or not. That's frost. Spraying. Anyone with crops, even those that are organic, do still need to spray something. And if you have, why would you want to, first of all, it's illegal, but why would you want to spend all that money on those chemicals, etc., put them out onto your crop to have them fly over next door, and then be responsible for what happened for that crop? This is about, again, taking all of these different weather variables, putting them into the right algorithm, and being able to safely say, and yay or nay, whether I can do it. And it's about not just, observations are great, but if you're standing there all day going, can I spray it? Can I spray it? No. Can I spray it? No. Let's go and do something else because we know that the spraying window isn't until tomorrow between 2 and 3. let's use our time and resources better to plan things. We do irrigation, we do growing degree days, we're moving into weather conducive to pests and diseases.
Oh, wow.
So there's lots of different things there, which is all about taking that good weather data and presenting it in a way that you can, at a glance, know what you need to do.
I love that. It sounds like you're really filling a gap and something that's going to be really valuable to that customer base. Let's get into the back end and the nuts and bolts of this startup. This is Startup Central Victoria after all. I want to know, what were some of the challenges that you faced in starting this company and app and kicking it off? Like you're not sitting at home twiddling your thumbs thinking, oh, maybe I should start an app. You've got other things, other commitments. What was this startup journey like for you, and what were some of the challenges that you faced?
I was thinking about this with my team the other day, and we're about to go into another funding round, and so we're preparing all of the things you need for that. And I was like, what do I answer when they say, how long have you been doing this for? Because first of all, I thought, oh, it's been a couple of years now. Is that should we be further along? Should we have developed more? Are people going to look at that and go, oh, what happened in that entire period of time? Why is it taking that long to get, your MVP up and this and that and that? And so then we actually realized, no, that shows that what you have created here has taken a lot of time and effort and bootstrapping by myself, alone from my mother, all of these sort of things to come into it, to get to the place of where we are now. So I think some of the problem with being an entrepreneur, if there was a problem, is that you are constantly, I'm not going to whitewash it, you are constantly faced with another freaking problem. It just never ends. So there is, every new thing that you do is something new that you may not have done before. So even just the getting your company legal and all of that sort of business and opening bank accounts and just all of that is something that you've done as a private person before, but you may not have done as a company. And every single thing you do is a learning experience. However, once you have actually done it and nailed it, you feel pretty good about it, first of all. You've now got this amazing experience that next time you have to do something that you haven't done before, you have learnt, even though it can be a completely different thing, you have learnt from why that took so long, or why that was so expensive, or don't do it like that again, Jane. There's a little bit of that will go into each and every new decision that you have to make.
Yeah, so, that's so true. I can relate to that as a journey as an entrepreneur there's just always a different challenge. But I'm super interested. Kerry mentioned earlier, we've got a bit of a Startup Central Accelerator Program coming up, and there'll be more shared on that. But I'm wondering if you engaged in any sort of program like that along your startup journey, and what did that process look like, and what value did you get out of that?
We've had a couple. So my co-founder, Dave, he was in IT. He was working in banking and finance and hated that entire world, but had all of these skills and wanted to put it towards something that he could call his own and was exciting and different and could actually help people and that sort of thing. So we've done one accelerator. We've had help from another one. We've had grant from Launch Vic, which was really awesome, and the bits that came around with that. So there's been lots of either very structured or a bit from here, bit from there, all sorts of different guidance that comes at you. And each one of those, the funny bit about it is you can be 100% sure that you are right and you are doing this the right way. And then you talk to someone who has done this before or has a better idea, and you suddenly go, oh my God, that's so obvious. Or how did we not see that? Or that's the way we should be going. That makes much more sense. So it's just really helpful for for those light bulb moments that you would otherwise just kind of be on your own for and just swimming blindly upriver because you haven't done it before. These people help guide you in the right way to see what's going on.
Yeah. Because the way I see it from looking in, you've got, Dave, IT, finance. You've got Jane, meteorologist, product expert, knows the need, knows the customer base. But then you've got all of the business things you're talking about, like the parts of starting a company, finding funding, getting the engaging with the customer base, getting to an MVP. It's an endless list, right? Yeah. So did a lot of that knowledge come through some of these programs, or did you draw on some experience elsewhere to fill in the gaps of knowledge and experience and understanding of growing and scaling an app-based company?
Well, as part of these programs, they do encourage you to get a board, an advisory board, and we now have 5 people on it, and they have been so helpful in terms of really understanding what we're doing, because we meet week in, week out, and just providing the guidance we need. But also, it's the missing bits that Dave and I don't bring to the table ourselves. So, like Anna is an agronomist. That's the key connection between what we're doing and what our customers need to be able to make sure that we're not building it in an isolated box where we don't know what the outside world is doing, and we're actually, she's able to quickly go, no, they're not going to use that, or yes, that's incredibly helpful, spend more time and effort on that. So there's those sort of things. As part of what we're doing, it's about bringing in all the different guidance and then bringing weather station data from your farm and using machine learning and AI to adapt this guidance to what's actually occurring on your property, so that we can get the right data to be able to fuel essentially precision ag. And so we've got a machine learning and AI expert who is on our board now that, so first of all, he was incredibly helpful about pushing us in the right directions. But then, I'm going to share this because it was a really nice moment. He actually said the other day, I am so proud of what you have achieved here. And when you feel like you have been battling for a very long time and everything, it's like you take one step forward and it's 3 steps back. And that just seems to be what you're doing the whole time. Just to hear how far we have actually come along from him was... It's also nice to have those people in your life so that you do get a little bit of it's not all bad, you're doing an okay job.
Yeah. Come on. We're approaching some, opening up to our audience for some questions. I bet you got some burning ones. But I want to know, for all those that are sitting here going, where is this startup journey at? Can I get on my phone and download Jane's Weather or not?
Yes, you can. Yes, indeed. Jane'sWeather.com, that's where it's at. We now have our AI forecast, so the Jane's Weather AI forecast. It is powering essentially the guidance that comes out. Go in there, Jane'sWeather.com, and sign up for a free 30-day trial. So that means we worked out quickly. Here's another problem that we had. We would bring people in and give them the free version, and the free version doesn't really have anything in it. And like, why on earth would we do that? Now, if I could change that again, I wouldn't start by doing that. Here, come in and have a look at 2 features, and that's all you've got. So we had all these people come through the front door and then visit us once and then go away because they didn't see what we actually do. And then we went, hang on, this is kind of like you're taking out someone on a first date. Let's, bells and whistles, all of the stuff so that you can see if it is right for you, and then, whining and dining them. And then at the end of it go, and in order to keep using this, please pay some money. So that turned out to be a much better way of doing things, which I wish I had realised at the start. However, free 30-day trial, you can come and experience all of the things we have there. We have a feedback process as a part of that. So if you are in agriculture, if you are in construction, if you have renewable energies, if you're in any of the industries that we can help you out, the best thing about it is it's a co-design space. So you can literally come back to us in the feedback process and say, I actually want this, or I need that, or can you make that colour different, or that's too small for my eyes to see. I'm out in the paddock and I can't see the numbers here. So all of that sort of stuff, it's our eyes on the ground of people that are actually using hopefully loving our product and getting the best out of it.
Love it.
So yes, janesweather.com, sign up.
That's so good. I've got a couple of questions in my back pocket, but I do want to give you wonderful people and all of you online the opportunity. I have the chat open on my iPad. This is very fancy.
Look at this tech.
Yeah, shit. So if you're online and you want to ask a question, please type it in. I will read it out and we'll go from there. But does anyone here, remembering the microphone, Kerry's our run around, does anyone here have a question for Jane?
I was going to say, there's got to be one.
Oh, there's
There's a few.
Hi Jane, I was just wondering, what does your footprint look like of users at the moment? Is it mainly regional Victoria when you're talking about agriculture, or have you started nationally? Have you got people in Western Australia and Queensland?
We do. We've got them in every state and territory across Australia now. I have finally hired my first sales guy. His name's Josh, which was a big step forward because it meant that I could sort of take that hat off. We need more of them. And he's based in Queensland, just to sort of balance out the fact that I'm quite well known in southeastern Australia and less known as you head further north or west. So yeah, we've got them everywhere, and we've got mainly in ag, a little bit in construction. We've got some energy companies in there too, and but mainly ag so far, which is where most of our development has been. Yeah.
Love it. Great question.
Thanks.
G'day Jane, g'day Caleb.
G'day.
I have a quick, this is kind of industry specific. Have you looked into exploring aerospace as well for your weather app?
In what way?
I think aerospace could definitely benefit from predictive kind of weather. I mean, personally I'm doing towards drones. I know drones would be super useful for that, and that's not like, you don't have to be a pilot to actually do that. That could be hobby people can actually use that too. And there's plenty of apps already out there, but none of them do weather, which I think would be really interesting to explore.
So we've got a customer in southwestern Victoria that uses our forecast to do drone spraying.
Yes, perfect.
So
yeah.
exactly. So it's been really great bringing him on board because we've been able to see exactly what the conditions are in that spot that affect what they are doing. And we've got another one that takes a chopper to go and do spraying, and before they had no idea what was happening where they were heading because it was up on a hill, and so they would fire the chopper up, they'd go and they would go, oh, can't spray today, but I've taken the time in the air to go and do that full return journey. So we're saving them so much money because they now know what the conditions are where they are heading, and there's a weather station there, it feeds it in, it all works really perfectly. This is something that I would love to have a chat with you afterwards and see what we can do to make it better for you.
I'm glad you said that, Jane. He was going to hang on to the microphone. I think he might be on your advisory board by the end of the day. Another question up the back.
I might have missed this before, but what resolution do you get? Like, if I'm on a property and my neighbour's on one over the hill, are we using the same data or individual data?
Different. So it depends on how different the terrain is around you, but we're bringing in 4 different global weather models at the moment. The highest resolution of those is 9 by 9 kilometres, or grid, and the next one we're bringing in is a 1 by 1 kilometre grid, at least for the next day and a half. So that essentially, as the base guidance of what you're getting in this area, at the moment 9 by 9, soon to be 1 by 1. But within that grid, the terrain is taken into account. So if you're at the top of the hill versus the bottom of the hill, you'll have different guidance based on what that is. Now, bring in the next layer of that, what weather stations, as in where can we see what's actually occurring? We've got Mount Buller as a client, just to give you an idea. So there's 1,800 metres, 1,600 metres, 1,400 metres. That's the broad elevation span that they operate in. And thanks to differing observations across all those parts, we can successfully model out what the changes are going to be as you go from one area to the next. And we can do that on the farm because you may have this block that doesn't get the light, doesn't get the wind, or whatever it is. And so if we've got observations coming from there, plus that grid modelling, we can work out block by block what the differences are going to be across your property. Yeah.
That's precision for you. Wow.
And that's where say frost comes in. We can so say you've got wheat, then we know that this block, that block, they're going to be affected. They're the ones that are in the danger zone for tonight. So stop putting your time and resources into these ones, put them into these guys instead, because they're the ones that are going to make it through. Or conversely, the opposite. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Hello, Jane.
Hello.
What an interesting journey that you're sharing with us. I'll just make a quick comment before I ask my question. I ran the RMIT software engineering program 4 or 5 years after you, and I'll make a comment that only the best and brightest get into that program.
That's good.
So my question is, seeing other friends struggle when they get that app off the ground because of the technical challenges and getting the right team on board. Do you have any comments or advice about that? How would you do it? Would you do it differently if you had to build a new app today?
That's one of the interesting bits about going on this journey. And there's a little bit of me that wonders, but the answer is going to be no, but I'm going to wonder it out loud. There's a little bit that I go, should your first idea not be the one? Because then you're going to go through all of this learning curve and and you're going to struggle here, struggle there. Oh, you're going to get a win here, you're going to struggle. And then after that, you know how to do all of these things. And so then when you have the good idea, then you can just roll it out in a much better way that saves you a lot of money and time and effort, etc. But who wants to be working on the crap idea? So that doesn't work. You want, as a founder, I think you want the thing that you're working on to be something that you wholeheartedly believe in, you love. It is everything you live and breathe, because it's taking up a lot of your time. My day currently, we have 12 in our tech team, 12 people in our tech team. The majority of those are over in Central America. Now you may go, why on earth are they in Central America? A, because they do cost less, but Dave was kind of living the life of a nomad, living cheaply, and when he went to Medellin in Colombia, I was like, Jesus, we're going to lose him here. But he actually managed to find an amazing team. And so what we actually have now is, I'm so happy with, because let's put it this way. I went to bed last night. I'd completed so here's the idea of a life of a founder. When I got home, quickly ate some dinner, and then I moved on to our financial model and telling the story of why you should invest in us, getting the pitch deck happening, all of these different things. I haven't gotten to my IM yet, that's tonight. And I haven't done the the one-pager, that's also tonight. And then I'm out at the theatre tomorrow night, and then I'm at a ball on Thursday night as ambassador, and so I don't know where the rest of my week is going to go. However, you can get all of that done. I saw the team come on about 11, 12 p.m, because that's when they start. And then when I woke up this morning, as I do each day at 6:30, they had achieved stuff.
Yes,
While I was sleeping, they had solved 3 problems. And it is so good to wake up to that, and then also to see them work together. And then we have a stand-up every morning at 8, so I go through all their work, and we do our stand-up, we work out where we're going, what's everyone's doing. Oh, we've got a problem here, we've got a problem there, talk. And then I go into meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, and I'm meeting with potential investors, I'm meeting with potential hardware, so weather station partnerships. I'm meeting with a bank that wants to roll this out. I'm meeting with a Vegetable Growers Association. So meeting. And then I very quickly eat a ready meal that I microwave in the microwave, and I throw a tomato on it just to be healthy, that I have randomly really quickly chopped up, and occasionally a cucumber. And so I wolf that down, I jump in the shower, and then I start my real job. I go into Channel 7, I go into hair and makeup. I kind of use that as the reset. Okay, what's the weather doing? Great, good, let's move into this thing. Hair, makeup, wardrobe, go down and write 4 p.m. news, pick up all the graphics, work out this, go into studio, do 4 p.m. news, come back out. Okay, what's the news? Oh, new model's coming. Okay, analyze, blah, 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 6:55 on air. Quickly record the update. Okay, it's 7:03, I can calm down. Go home and I'll do the IM tonight. Anyway, so that's kind of like what the day in the life of a founder is like when you have 2 jobs.
Yes. Well, that leads into a great question that it totally wasn't my question. And Kerry, I said I wouldn't steal it from you, but here I am stealing it from you. At what point do you think, what's next for Jane and Jane's Weather and Jane on Channel 7 and working 2 jobs? Is there a projection in your mind where you think, I'm going to go all in on this Jane's Weather app company?
Well, the answer to that is I have now been at Channel 7 for 10 years, and there's one bit of me that is, why on earth would I remove this connection I have with hundreds of thousands of people every night, where I'm literally talking about the weather, which is the product that I'm making. Next to me it says Jane's Weather. It's free advertising. So yeah, essentially it is free advertising. So by keeping my face, name, etc. in people's minds, it does that. So in reality, I love that job. It's the best thing because I get to take all this data, work out what is most likely to happen, and then share that with everyone. And that's the best thing ever. I've been doing it for a long time, but I still love
really,
it. So I'm going to stay there as long as I'll have it.
Yeah. I love that. It's really, you've reframed 2 jobs to it's just one job. And one job serves the other one.
Exactly,
and it's in the same realm.
Yes, I'm hoping we can get enough funding to be able to recruit an operations manager.
Nice.
Maybe an admin person that can do all of the stuff that I currently do. And then I can actually focus on the bigger stuff to spend the time that I do have getting more out of my time.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's so good. We are... anyone else? Anyone else? Well, I have some more in my pocket.
Hi.
Hi.
My name's Matt. I'm not good with microphones. I was just got a random question about the weather. With lightning and thunder, how does the thunder work, and where does the lightning usually come from?
Okay, this would be a lovely bit for me to introduce my children's book that I wrote. Not that I'm saying this is for children, but I've written a kids' picture book which is called Storm, and it is this was just one of the things I found the time to be able to do.
Yeah, with all your spare time.
In the recent time, it is lovely. The illustrations that Dasha Riley did, I love, and it's all about little Jane and her dog Stampy, who's no longer with me, and it's about Stampy getting really scared about these thunderstorms, and so little Jane, little budding meteorologist, learning everything she can about storms to keep Stampy safe. So we go through the whole journey of that, which is lovely. But in that, I encourage everyone to buy a great Christmas present for your kids. In that, we cover why these things work, and essentially, think about a thunderstorm cloud. It starts here, and it goes all the way up to the top of the atmosphere. So it's got all of this energy in it, instability, and so it's bubbling up and up and up and up. And so you've got raindrops that are in there that work in these, essentially, it's like a fast freeway that goes in one direction and down the other. And so you've got all of this rising air in one of them, they get too heavy, and then they fall down the other side. However, it can get sucked back into that first updraft, and then they get bigger and bigger. So think about hailstones that are in there. They start off really tiny, and then they grow and grow up, and they come down. Oh, no, we're going to grow some more, up and down. And then you end up with these huge hailstones, and they're the things that fall out. But by all of these things clunking together, that electrifies it, and the lightning goes between the ground and the cloud, and the thunder is literally the sound of that lightning flash. Yeah.
I love
and
that.
The lightning flash is 27,000 degrees, so it's, if you think about a normal summer's day being 27 degrees, that's how much hotter it is. Yeah.
I am learning so much. That's great.
The illustrations are much better at explaining. Yeah.
No, that's excellent. I love that. I have a almost 3-year-old, so I'm where can I buy this?
This will be
Jane?
perfect. The best thing I can say is, it's available in any good bookstore.
Yeah, great. Good.
Anywhere
you haven't
buy
dropped
good
the sales role yet, right? Of course you are.
Thank you, Matt, for that question. That was the test to make sure you really were a qualified meteorologist. But I was mesmerised by, you've just given us a huge rundown on a day in the life of Jane, which can sound very exhausting. But I'm very interested in your audience. Now, I know we have a few fans here. We have some cropping farmers from up north here, and you've alluded a lot to the agricultural community who, through WIN and now 7, follow the weather very closely. But you've mentioned the construction industry and others. Do you think they, how do you engage with them? Do you think they are your viewers? Do you have access to that data, or how are you planning to engage more with those sectors?
One of the exciting things that we might be able to do, particularly for the construction industry, is we've done a little bit of research, and I've got a guy that's, as soon as the tech drops, will be one of his first customers. Anyway, it's AI Jane. So you'll wake up in the morning and you'll have a personalised video of Jane Bunn, here we are talking about myself in the third person, that knows that you work here, you've got to go here and here today, you are concreting, for example, you're doing this or whatever, and so it goes, okay, Brian, or whatever your name is, good morning, it's from me, it's my face, it's my look and feel, and it's telling you when you're going to be able to do these things. Another example would be, we notice you go for a run every day between 3 and 4. Hey, that's when the cool change is coming, so you might want to move that to 2 and 3. That sort of stuff. It'll be me on your phone telling you what's going on. So that's the very future of where we're going. But at the moment, we've done a lot with ag. We're moving into wheat and broadacre is where we really want to head in terms of the frost potential to really nail that down. We've got a partnership with Hort Innovation, which just dropped last week, which is really good, a $1.3 million initiative. So we got some grant funding out of that, and that is to particularly do those weather conducive to pests and diseases for vegetable growers. The wine industry, we are making inroads there to essentially take this guidance and make it exactly what people in the wine industry need to do. So I think it's all about getting those users in, letting them explore, showing them what they can get out of it, and then getting that essential feedback to make sure that you are still developing in the right direction for what they actually need it to be.
That's super cool. I got a bit chills when you were talking about Jane's AI. You are looking at Jarvis in the real world right now. This is modelled off. That's going to be pretty wild, and that's not that far away, right?
It's really not.
No.
The tech is coming along. The first one might look a bit clunky, but it'll be exciting to see. But the other bit is, my thing about making sure the right message is getting through. I will not put that out until I am confident that my face and voice are going to be telling you the actual right thing. So,
I love that. That's so good.
Thank you.
Wow.
Anyone want some rain? Yes.
Wouldn't mind some. Have you got any to give?
I might. I just thought I'd give this because I can't have a room full of people and not actually talk about what the weather's going to do.
Please.
So we talked about how it won't be as cold overnight going on from here because the winds have now moved northerly. There's a very exciting thing happening in the west of the country. You may have noticed over the past forever, in terms of weather, it's forever, several weeks is forever, we've had this high pressure system sitting here blocking things coming through. In order to make it rain, you have to have two things. You've got to have moisture and you have to have instability. Moisture is best if it comes from the tropics because the Southern Ocean can hold this much moisture because it's cold, whereas the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean can hold this much moisture because it's much, much warmer. So we'd like a feed to come down from either the northwest or the northeast. We like that to meet up up with a cold front or a cut-off low. That's that instability part of the equation. In the west of the country right now, there is a big system that is coming up from the south. The high pressure systems have split. This is exciting news. Very exciting news, because it means that that beast that is coming up from the south can tap into moisture from the Indian Ocean. They can meet together and have spectacular results. There is going to be a huge northwest cloud band that's going to cross the entire country pretty much and deliver rain for everyone in its path. Now, northeastern Victoria and the northern country are looking like going to do the best here. It's Thursday, Friday into Saturday. There may be another one to follow it, but I'm conservatively going 10 to 20 millimetres across all of this area here that you can see on this map here. That should be coming your way at the end of the week.
Wow. That's excellent. Personalised delivery of what's happening. I love that. Amazing. Let's put our hands together for Jane. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wowzers.
Thank you, Jane. Now, don't escape just yet, because I'd like to invite Danny Roberts from Launch Vic to come up, because we want to share with everyone the opportunities through Launch Vic and Startup Centre Victoria and the resources that we offer, and you have indeed tapped into, as we've heard. So this is great. Welcome, Danny.
Thanks so much, Kerry, and it's great to see you again, Jane. For those of you that don't know who Launch Vic is, we are the state startup agency. We are funded by the Victorian government to build Victoria's startup ecosystem so more founders can start, grow, and other Victorians can invest in startups. One of the things we talk about as a team at Launch Vic, whenever we're putting something together like a funding round or a program or those sorts of things, is what are we doing to keep the penguins warm? And I love that we're here talking about weather today, that I can actually share that with you. And so much is like, well, okay, when thinking about that, well, we need wool to knit the jumpers, we need someone to knit the jumpers, and then we need to get the... So whenever we're thinking about building programs, grant rounds, etc., it's always that, well, does it keep the penguins warm test? So as far as grants go, we have wonderful friends at Agriculture Victoria. Mark, can you give everyone a little wave? We've been partnering with Agriculture Victoria for 2 years now to grow AgTech in the state. We found that we did some research and found that there wasn't very many AgTech startups, and we thought that wasn't such a great thing, that wasn't keeping the penguins warm. So we put in place a number of pre-accelerator programs. A pre-accelerator program takes, everyday people like yourselves who even think that they have an idea that could become something more like a startup, like what Jane is, and it's a safe place for you to test that idea. You take it in there, you think about it, what does it look like? Is it an app? Are there going to be customers? Are you solving the problem? And you don't have to lose the house or all your savings to be able to be a part of that. So any of you, whether it's an AgTech startup or just a general idea, I really encourage you to tell friends, family, others. You can join a pre-accelerator program here locally with Startup Central Victoria. Applications are now open, closing June 10. Yep, my notes worked. So yeah, you can get the local support you need, or we do have more specialised stuff. So please check out our Launch Vic website. It has a whole range of accelerators, pre-accelerators and things there. What is super exciting and dropped yesterday is an announcement with our friends at Agriculture Victoria that our $50,000 AgTech grants have now been topped up with another $1 million, and we've also started a Hugh Victor Mackay fund, which hopefully once Jane has finished her raising can apply to for further investment from us and Agriculture Victoria, and that is also receiving a further $1 million. So we are really, really grateful for our partnerships with government and the support that they give us to allow to support all of you, and we hope that we're keeping the penguins warm. So I don't want to take any more of your time because you don't want to be the speaker that keeps everyone from lunch. So look, thank you very much for having me, and please, 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 if you have any sort of idea, and like Jane said, you don't have to be a technical founder. What you need to do is understand the problem and how you might solve that problem, and then you find us and let us support you and the rest of the ecosystem to navigate the problems that go along the way. Thank you.
Thanks, Danny. And when we say locally, we mean everyone from Echuca down to Gisborne, across to Maryborough, Wedderburn, anywhere in regional Victoria. There are resources available to you through Startup Centre Victoria or many of our sister programs running throughout the state. So it's a really good ecosystem to tap into, and we do encourage you to go to our website, startupcv.com.au, and just check out everything that's there and ask questions, because that's what we're here for. So it's now my pleasure to thank these two wonderful people. Caleb, you were here, you look good, and you asked a few good questions. But Jane, you were just delightful, as always, in the person, and it is really lovely that you come and spent time with us here. We have a little gift for you both. Now, Caleb's working on a whole dining set of our Startup Centre Victoria mugs and notepads, but this will be new for you, and we hope that you will treasure it. And thank you so much, everyone, and thank you to our online audience, and we welcome everyone to network, and you can even get a little chat with, or a photograph with Jane before she has to leave and go and do the weather. So thank you to these two wonderful people. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yes, I am working on a
You are.
full
You have
dinner
got
set.
such
Yeah.
a good set.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It's very stunning, our Startup Centre Victoria.
I love it.
Striking mug, I tell you what. Look at that. You won't lose it. Thanks, Jane. That was
No,
great.
you won't. Nice. Thanks.
Easy as.
Warm.